Swing Low, Sweet Chariot is another favorite spiritual of mine. Joan Baez sang this at the Woodstock Festival. There's a power in the intersection of spiritual and folk music, and it's great and very American that one of the most famous songs of all time was written by an Oklahoma slave, Wallace Willis. I envision that moment when the unimaginable demands of his life in enslavement were overwhelming, and he felt this deep-down longing for freedom, then realized that the only freedom he may know lay in death.
Lincoln's decision on emancipation came in the same months that Julia Ward Howe's The Battle Hymn of the Republic was becoming popular. A poet and activist from Boston, Howe had joined her husband and a few others in coming south to watch the grand review of the Army of the Potomac at Bailey's Crossroads in northern Virginia. Inspired by what she'd seen, Howe rose in the night in her room at Willard's Hotel near the White House and, in the gloom, wrote new verses to a familiar piece. The tune for which she was composing was well known in abolitionist circles and among Union soldiers as John Brown's Body, an anthem commemorating the anti-slavery martyr who had been executed after leading a raid on Harper's Ferry. John Brown's body lies a-mouldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a-mouldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a-mouldering in the grave, but his soul goes marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His soul goes marching on. John Brown died that the slaves might be free. John Brown died that the slaves might be free. John Brown died that the slaves might be free. His soul goes marching on. The immediate occasion for Howe's own verses came from her own singing of John Brown's Body with the soldiers she had encountered earlier that day. One of her party, the Reverend James Freeman Clark, had challenged her to improve on the existing song. "Mrs. Howe, why do you not write some good words for that stirring tune?" Howe rose to the challenge. "And so, to pacify the dear old man," she recalled, "I promised to try." The poem she scribbled in the darkness elevated the fight for the Union to the noblest of plains.
Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He hath loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. I have seen him in the watchfires of 100 circling camps. They have builded him an altar in the evening dews and damps. I can read his righteous sentence by the dim and flaring lamps. His day is marching on. I have read a fiery gospel written burnished rows of steel. As ye deal with my contemners, so with you my grace shall deal. Let the hero born of woman crush the serpent with his heel, since God is marching on. He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never call retreat. He is sifting out the hearts of men before his judgment seat. Oh, be swift, my soul, to answer him. Be jubilant, my feet. Our God is marching on. In the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea, with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me. As he died to make men holy, let us die to make men free, while God is marching on.
The vision of the armies of the Lord on the march in the cause of true justice was compelling, and the verses were first published in the Atlantic Monthly in February 1862. "Do you want this, and do you like it, and have you any room for it in the January number?" Howe had written Atlantic editor James Fields, who paid her $5 for the poem, which he printed on the cover of the magazine with the title of his own devising. The Battle Hymn of the Republic was fully born. Lincoln loved it, calling out, "Sing it again," after hearing Charles McCabe, a Methodist minister and a chaplain in the 122nd Ohio Volunteer Infantry, perform it in the hall of the House of Representatives on Tuesday, February 2nd, 1864. "Take it all in all," Lincoln later told McCabe, "the song and the singing, that was the best I ever heard." According to Eileen Southern, though, black soldiers seemed to prefer their own text and used the tune for marching songs, camp songs, social songs, and even religious songs. She cited one such version. "We are done with hoeing cotton, we are done with hoeing corn, We are colored Yankee soldiers as sure as you were born. When Mazza hears us shouting, he will think 'tis Gabriel's horn as we go marching on. By mid-1862, the Union needed more soldiers willing, as Howe had put it, to die to make men free. President Lincoln called for 300,000 additional soldiers, inspiring this biblical poem from a Quaker, James Sloan Gibbons, which was first published in the New York Evening Post of Wednesday, July 16, 1862, and set to music. We are coming, Father Abraham, 300,000 more, from Mississippi's winding stream and from New England's shore. We leave our plows and workshops, our wives and children dear, with hearts too full for utterance, but with a silent tear.
The battle hymn of the Republic, the battle cry of freedom, and we are coming, Father Abraham. The battle hymn is one of my first musical memories. As a young child, I went to an audition for a part in a play. Instead of giving me a song to sing, they asked if I knew anything, and I knew Julia Ward Howe's majestic song, or at least the first verse. A big part of its power is how it links the human and the divine, the small and the large, the particular and the universal, told from the perspective of a soldier for justice. And it could be a traditional soldier under arms or anyone who fights to right wrongs. The battle hymn is about pilgrims on earth taking on the Lord's work. This can be tricky. Humility means we can't confuse our will with God's. But history tells us that we make our greatest advances in America when religious conviction informs political action. From abolition to civil rights, ministers of the Lord have led us to higher ground. The battle hymn lyrics point to Christ's salvation of man as the ultimate guide to how we should act here on earth. Fighting for the Union was a Christian responsibility, a mission from God that required action, and came with God's blessing. It was the ultimate religious motivation. Christ saved you, now you must go save freedom. In the battle cry of freedom, we have a great example of music's incredible ability to unify words, beat, and melody into a form that can motivate us in times of war and struggle. I can picture Union soldiers marching off with a righteous cause in their heart, and this drum beat driving them onward. With Father Abraham, I'm struck by the first line. We are coming, Father Abraham, 300,000 more. That's a lot of lives unified and willing to die for the Union cause. I love that this song feels like an upbeat march musically, even though lyrically it's clear that these troops left their families for bloody rivers and death alongside their brothers. But you can hear the belief in their cause in this upbeat tempo. It's a song for the beginning of war, when spirits and righteousness are high.